Take a longer look at yourself and how you're reflected in that slick chemical rainbow. What do you see? Metaphor. It's always metaphor. This is more important than you. That's the blood of industry you see before you. The runoff from Coal City, further down the coast. The engines of fortune once roared here. Great wealth poured into Revachol, the Delta, as did smoke, waste, sickness, life. The engines stopped. The West Revacholian industrial base was dismantled after the war. Now, extinguished coke furnaces dot the landscape, a landscape despoiled by industry. Filth. This needs environmental action now. Yes, fortune left you too, leaving only pharmaceuticals and a subpar service-based industry.
Tequila. We are. Okay, so now you two.
Our tenant, the policeman.
Aye, the sea's gonna calm down soon. I can feel it. The wind is turning southeast. What? Oh. That's good to know, I guess. Why is it in the sea? An installation. Us poor people are stupid and don't get installations. All I see is a heap of trash. This actually calls for a funeral, I think. Aye. Feels deserved, don't you think? Falling in the line of duty like that and all. Quite odd. Our things are a part of our life world. They're made with our human sweat and they share human history. We should care about them as we care about humans. To some extent, at least.
Life world. Someone's been reading up on...
Oh yeah? You won't even be able to get it out of the water before early June. And where are you gonna bury it? Who to invite? What music to play at the wake? Take it from someone who's been through a few funerals. It's easiest to just leave them there and let nature take care of it.
That's all we have time for right now anyway. Come back here in June and see how you feel about it then. It's not... Yes, that is a pity. But for now, let's focus on the things we do get to do. Like the murder investigation, for example.
The porter reel is just what you needed. The reel's attached to the apparatus with a satisfying click. The tape is routed behind the magnetic reader. You press the large button marked Commencer, and the tape starts spinning. there's a small delay before the song starts playing. It sounds like someone's moving in the room, getting comfortable. Then the organ starts playing a simple, melancholic tune echoing in the hallway. A lone singing voice joins in, telling you about the tiniest church in Cessons, surrounded by even tinier yard. You almost feel the seaside mist on your skin. It's mega sad. A click, then silence for a bit. Then the tape stops spinning. Nothing to do with this right now. Wow, a very large red t-shirt with an impressive print stands out from the other garb. Oh yeah, the print depicts a muscled man striding toward you, a giant sword in each hand, encircled by burning embers. Behind him is a cluster of cabins engulfed in flames. Beneath him are the words, Hjelmdal burning. Smells like worn cotton and a little old sweat there. Worn cotton with a side of flea market or trash bin.
Sniffing is okay, but please don't try anything on. Can't have you leaving your photon emissions in the fabric of things you're not going to buy. Hell yeah, man. I don't usually carry printed tees, but this one was just pure exemplar. A fan? No, I wouldn't go that far. But I do think the Hjelmdalaman saga is an integral part of our shared reality. Most people don't think that the man from Hjelmdal really existed, but they're wrong. I mean, even if the man from Hjelmdal didn't exist before the adventure novels, the stories have made it so that he has. It's simple, really.
Okay.
You sound skeptical. It's not that complicated. All that's required is a more robust understanding of cause and effect. Besides, I've been to Kotla, though not quite as far north as the Hjelmdal, and watched northern lights travel across the sky. Very unique, energetic tides there.
It's for the best, because Hjelmdal is not a real place, and thus he could not have gone there. His theory isn't exactly incoherent, but its logic does suggest some unusual neural activity. Interesting.
2 real.
That's dirt cheap.
But why? I deal in goods, not services. Welcome to Hjelmdal, officer.
The litany of contact Mike. 5,000 to 1 rank outsider. No one saw it coming. The mantle of a game changer demands intangible qualities. Fights are not won. You're thinking instead of doing detective work right now. Fights are made, blow by blow. Let's take it, Mike to the Mikey. Some low-intensity part of you has entered a sports cliché-driven fugue state, and it's not necessarily a bad thing. Also, Mike knew what it took to win. He just wanted it more. A typical Martinez. All the old You see rows of toy soldiers. This set of
You're probably talking about the revolutionaries, yes? Yes, they are soldiers, revolutionary soldiers. I think their poverty has been exaggerated for effect. When you place them next to the royalists, it doesn't seem like they could possibly win. I don't like either set very much, to be honest. Hello, hello. Let me know if I can help you with anything. Of course.
Everything's me?
This man probably comes from.
Very cool.
The dented yellow mailbox greets you with its graffiti.
Yes, for sending mail.
You drop the white envelope and probably did the right thing. You can't trust that slut Everard. You know he's going to play you somehow.
Alright, let's go back to Evrart. If
Inside, you see a set of steering levers, a radio microphone.
This is Precinct 57. How may I assist you? I'm afraid they're closed. It says...
we should try again.
Anything else detected? One moment. Can you please describe the body?
We suspect he might have been inebriated when he fell. There were bottles all around him, and traces of vomit on his shirt.
Any signs of violence? No field autopsy necessary. What about his belongings? Did you examine his clothes? Any information on the library card? Good. Do you and Lieutenant Kitsuragi want to take the case, or should I assign it to someone else? I have assigned the case to Lieutenant Kim Kitsuragi. Please follow up on this library lead to identify the man. We'll send someone to take the body to the morgue. That's all for now. Thank you for reporting in. Yes. The armor was produced by Fairweather in their facilities in Betancourt, sur la Clé in 42. It was part of a special order for Corps de Pharmacie, a security firm contracted to protect the interests of Oranese pharmaceutical companies in the Semenine conflict. So, it seems the armor went to Semenine. That's where the paper trail ends, though. Even the firm has proven difficult to track. Corps de Pharmacie has been renamed several times over in the years since the armor was issued. The most recently registered firm that the ICP has been able to connect to the CDP is a military contractor called Trinell, and the one before it was Downwell. I think they might be the same contractor.
A suit of armor like this would have been manufactured with a particular person's physique in mind. You should ask for whom this suit was fitted.
Yes, but the ICP tends to be reluctant to share private sector records. I could try to talk them into it, though. Sure. Call back tomorrow. Not yet. 57.
In the cabin,
Now it's turning into a kind of a snow limbo, man. What's on your mind? I don't want to talk about that. Man, I was hoping it isn't going to be her. All I can say is, she isn't around here anymore. She isn't some evil drug trafficker. And I don't know where she is. A friend? An acquaintance? I don't know. She was the only person in this damn jam I could talk to. She's someone I don't want to rat out to the law, okay? A youngish woman. Gruff, but in a cool way.
What color hair?
Blue and violet. Died. It was violet when she got here. Blue before she went.
then she may have dyed it again.
Thank God I don't know. People here call her the Lady Driver. She kept her name a secret. From me too. Now I see why. I didn't, man. I told you I was hoping it's not her. That she wouldn't be mixed up in it.
It's true. We would have caught a lie. But a kind heart is tricky. Bah. Emotional rhetoric. He knew something and he didn't share it with you. That's a fact.
Damn, I don't want to... Please just let it go. Whatever she did, it can't be that bad. She's not a bad person. I know.
We can't just let it go. It's part of a police investigation.
That's how it always is with you, isn't it? All part of the investigation. The girl's troubled. If you hunt her down, she may not survive it. I can't.
It won't come to that. We won't pursue her on this. This is information only.
I don't believe you. She's got the darkness in her. That young person's darkness when you think it's all over. And you're looking for a way out.
She shared this with you?
Yes. Which is why I don't want to snitch on her. I heard the rumors. I saw the other drivers looking at me strange when we talked. And she told me, too, that she's had a violent life. But I wasn't afraid of her. More like for her.
Did this violent life include drug trafficking?
Well, it looks like it did now. But we didn't talk about that. We talked about life, you know? She talked about her mind. The way it worked. The trouble it was giving her.
The pain it was causing her.
Fuck, man. Go grill someone else with these questions, okay? There are plenty of drivers.
The grey-haired woman. Maybe she knows something. Wait, this guy says they're friends. Then, acquaintances. And he's okay with others. Now is not the time to focus on feelings. You need that info, son. It's right here. The answer is right here. You just need to ask him. Come on, do it.
Fine. I don't want to be a butcher. And I don't want to be a knight either. I just want to be a person who can sleep at... I thought you were a different kind of cop. Here. Lori's still here. Down past the statue of Philippe. The cabin is green. You can get in there with these.
When did she leave?
Last Friday. No. I don't know. She left them to me. Because she trusted me. So I can get it out of the way when the jam breaks loose.
The other drivers would have to tow it or break in to get the machines moving.
If they break in, they would find what's hidden inside. Something incriminating.
Nah. I need to think my own...
This green found, A to Z, Contemporain, is parked in the shadow of the ruins looming overhead. It's seen better days.
This is the one our man pointed to.
The glass on the side windows is tinted and covered with dust. You can barely make out the shape of a seat and two steering levers. The door is locked. The handle looks shiny, like it's recently replaced. You push the key into the lock and turn. It makes a cracking sound. The smell of cigarettes and perfume welcomes you. The cabin inside is plastered with old movie posters. Actresses smile from the walls. There's a radio transmitter in the front and a toolbox tucked under the driver's seat. These are movie posters featuring starlets from long-forgotten films from the 20s, the teens, even the 90s of the last century. One of them particularly catches your eye, a centerfold of an ingenue attached right above the back seat. The actress is draped in a sheath dress, one of her shoulders bared. The faded remains of an autograph run across the poster. She's looking past the camera. Wait, doesn't she resemble someone you know? But you can't put your finger on whom exactly. This is Tip Tijon, a starlet from the dawn of cinematography, less known for her talent than her tragic, untimely death. She wasted away in a drug den called the Door to the River, not far from here on Boogie Street, a mixture of cocaine and morphine. She was afraid of the world and the camera, too. The actresses and the rear actor all smile you a warm goodbye. A radio transmitter is attached to the dashboard and a toolbox sits under the driver's seat. Looks like the frequency dial is absent. It requires a key to work, but the key has been removed, likely by the missing lady driver.
Strange. There are so many radio stations saved here. Must be over 100 at least. For contacting an entire fleet of lorrymen, for example. This is all shortwave, UW and UKV. Looks like we are dealing with an impressive organizational tool. The nerve center of a huge operation, with quite a range too. Doesn't look like it. It's completely inoperable without a dial key.
The smell of 1,000 cigarettes, some dead actresses, and a rusty old toolbox under the seat. You wedge yourself under the steering wheel to get a better look. Seems like the few tools lying around here, a hammer, a pair of pliers, a rusty wrench, have been casually thrown there by the disorganized driver. But one odd detail does catch your eye. A piece of sandpaper has been glued to the throttle. Sandpaper adds extra grip.
Sandpaper? A novel technique? Yes? Which means that the missing lady driver was present at the lynching. Looks like her, yes. Now we know for certain who's the missing eighth person at the lynching. Do you think that Hardy and his boys could also be involved in the drug operation? We should talk with Titus, see what he's got to say on the matter. Are we finished with the lorry?
The movie stars are still smiling from the walls. A metallic drawer slides out from the seat. It's an issue of Périphérique from last Wednesday. A piece of paper falls out from its pages. It looks like an article ripped out from a radio enthusiast magazine. Complex mathematical equations explain the basics of something called the Ulan frequency system. These formulas look oddly painful. Maybe it's the hangover, but they give you a headache.
The Ulan frequency system? I've never heard of that before. I know of FM, AM, UKV, but...
A pull-out toolbox to close the...
Great. I think we got everything. All right, we've finished here. Let's quickly debrief and go over what we found, so we don't do it in front of the company rep. Honestly, I'm quite worried by what we've seen so far. The evidence seems to point to a rather extensive and well-organized operation. I'm especially intrigued by that radio transmitter, particularly the sheer number of stations it can connect. Looks like this alleged drug trade casts a wide net.
This means it's well-funded. Technology like that, a major player must be financing it.
I'm not sure what the Ulan frequencies are all about, but they may hold some significance. Perhaps it's a better way to connect between fleets while avoiding frequency bleed, or maybe it's used to tap into RCM networks.
Listening in on your calls between you and your station, a worrying prospect.
And last but not least, it looks like the Hardy Boys knew this driver, as we know that she was present at the lynching. This may be the Union connection we've been searching for.
The probe and the case converged, he thinks. This was quite the find.
Like Joyce told us, yes, logistically. But don't expect to bust this open during our stay here. At best, this is an angle we can use against them, to other ends, as extra ammunition. As elegant as they are, I don't think they are relevant to the drug trade.
Don't be fooled. Desire always plays a role.
Yes, well... We should return to the murder case, see what Joyce tells us about the lynching. When we are done for the day, I call my station and suggest our narcotics department look into it. There are more than enough grounds to start an official investigation, sometime later when we are done here. We do not... The fact that one hasn't started already gives me pause. An investigation, I mean. Especially if the Madrid grouping is involved, and I can't imagine they aren't. It's certainly worrisome. All the same, I don't like the idea of internal affairs descending on the matter. That won't help anyone either. Debrief over. I have to...
The spread pattern of these bullet holes makes your chest ache. Your breath grows heavier. More old bullet holes. Half a century at least. From the revolution. You peer into the faded marks in the stone. They peer back like an endless row of tiny black holes. Sweat starts trickling down your brow. Your chest feels tight looking at them. It's closing in, caving in, ever tighter. Your breathing grows even heavier.
You okay there? You were looking pale there for a second. What are you? Remnants from the revolution. These are over half a century old. Perhaps a crime of a sort ages ago, but no, these do not warrant an investigation. Not much. I don't have a fresh perspective on it.
Gendarmerie. You found me.
His slender figure is backlit by city lights, its distant streets and motorways flashing like diamonds. And his shirt is still unbuttoned.
Beautiful. So tell me, are you here to make things right again? Beautiful. I have some good news for you. My Sunday friend is visiting me tonight. I told him about you and he'd like to say hello. Step in. He's already waiting. Mm-hmm. That's why I chose this place. Martinez is special, isn't it?
Wait. Suddenly you are digging things?
Trust me, you do. That's nice, but I don't have anything to tell you.
He takes another drag of his unfiltered cigarette and looks around. It's getting dark and the neighboring windows have lit up one by one.
Besides, I've got to run. Just look at it. It's a beautiful night. Who's going to stay in on a night like this?
He's right. Only losers go to bed early. Time to break out the booze. A man on high heels stumbles out of a basement club, music blasting over the entire district. It's chilly, and as the chemicals hit his nervous system, 1,000 shivers ripple through his body. Something flutters in the corner of the lieutenant's mouth as you're saying those words.
We'll talk. Just not tonight. Take care, all right?
And he's gone again. Looks like it's becoming a theme for him.
Different, of course. You like talking to him. It made you feel special. Come on, detective, let's go.
Officers of the Revachol Citizens Militia. My name is Charles Vildrouin, and I am an official with the coalition government. I work for the Institute of Price Stabilité on assignment from Sur la Clé. I heard you talking to my friend outside. Very good. Super. I am here to assist you in any way possible. Ask me about the hanging.
Hanging? What a drag. He seems like a cultured gentleman. You should ask him about the finer things.
Oh, yes. My friend has a great eye for these things. He refuses to tell me where it came from. It's a mystery. I believe they call this type of frame industrial. It's very comfy. That's really all I can tell you about it.
The lieutenant takes out his notebook and nods to you to proceed.
I'm sorry to say I did, officer.
Easy, detective. No need to jump to conclusions.
Officer, it's very difficult to describe what I saw that night. It was so surreal to me, like in a play.
He holds out his hands and blossoms his fingers, like a drama teacher setting the scene.
What do you mean, like in a play?
It was just so strange. I could barely comprehend what was happening. I was on the balcony when it happened, getting some fresh air. I remember that first they came in, carrying what looked like a body. And then I saw all the surrounding windows go dead, one by one. That's when I understood. I should not be seeing this.
Sounds like the victim was unconscious, or at least incapacitated.
I couldn't see their faces well, and there were quite a few of them. But they were very loud and very Martinez. Let's just say that the laboring classes can get rather expressive with their profanities. I couldn't tell you exactly. Less than 10. Maybe 8?
The lieutenant sends you a sharp look at the mention of that number.
That's a giant you're describing. No, they were all quite human, as far as I could tell. I went back inside.
Yes, back inside. Keep yourself safe from the killing.
Were you able to see anything from inside?
Officer, the yard was pitch black. There was nothing to see, but I could still hear their voices. They were threatening to kill that poor man. All men, I presume. But again, I couldn't see very clearly.
But we are fairly certain the lady driver was present.
It's possible, officer, but I cannot say with certainty. It was very dark. Those funny... Oh, officer, that kind of language is unbecoming of an officer of the RCM. I believe they were mostly white, though I believe I saw 2 Areopagites among them. And I am quite certain that one spoke with a Mesk accent. Well, that's the strangest part, officer. Nothing happened. It was oddly quiet for a public lynching. Eventually, their shouts died down, and that was all. There were no gunshots, no celebratory shouts, no anything. You're right, of course. That is what one is supposed to do in such circumstances. I was simply in shock. I'm afraid I don't have anything else to add.
About what time was all this happening, approximately?
All I can say is that it was late. No, I didn't see the corpse until the following day.
It seems this wasn't the break you were hoping for. I think we have everything we need. Thank you for...
Of course. Anything I can do to assist the RCM. Ah, my friend. My friend is a good young man. His family immigrated here from Kedra, and life has not been easy for him. But he understands the importance of education. He has taken his future into his own hands, and that's all that matters. Kedra is a candidate member of APIS. But, between you and me, their potential membership is a more contentious issue. That it's never going to happen. They entered negotiations in 21, and it's been pending ever since. EPIS is a very special program developed by the Moral Intern to support certain Occidental nations. It began as a unified system of weights and measures, which proved to be a wild success. Nothing but kilograms and centimeters as far as the eye can see.
God, yes. Sweet standardization. The backbone of rationality and commerce.
It was such a wild success that we expanded it into an economic union for the processing of steel. Another success. And between you and me, the Moral Intern feels emboldened by this success. Emboldened to take EPIS to the next level. Why, it stands for progress and stability, like the Moral Intern as a whole. It's been such a wild, extraordinary success thus far. We are very excited to take it to the next level. A supranational political alliance. The United States of Occident. You mean Revachol? No, it's going to have transparent democracy. It's one day going to be a candidate member of EPIS, sure.
Except that candidate members never become full members, do they?
No, candidate members do become members. Why do we even have the whole system in place if they don't? It just takes time. Time and evaluation. But we were talking about my friend here, not politics. How did any of us become friends? Bad things happening on the Insulindian Isola? Oil platforms ablaze in the night? Civil wars lasting for years? Finally, the international community is forced to step in. One of the wonders of democracy is that everyone is allowed to have his own opinion. And not just allowed, encouraged even. Have you ever tried debate? Debating. You should consider joining a debating society for adults. I hear they're oodles of fun. I used to have a flyer for one, But now that I start thinking of it, it was for an improv class anyway. It's this funny theater thing, you know? Very creative. Helps relieve stress.
A chill runs down your spine as you envision a half-dozen people in professional attire standing around a chair, awkwardly pretending to be waiting for a motorbus. It's...
Sorry, who? But I told you, officer. He's a bright young man here to pursue his education. Education is the foundation of our future, especially the arts. It is a cornerstone of our civilization. Officer, you have to understand. I can't give you his personal information. I'm sure you have your own methods and databases, right? Please don't put me in this situation. He's deeply enmeshed in the study of the fine arts, yes.
As though you weren't envious enough of the boy as is.
He's a truly free spirit. He likes all the arts. Perhaps graphic design, printmaking, who knows? The world is open wide for a talented youth like him. I'm just enjoying the view. Listen. The Insulindian Bay. This place used to be a luxury accommodation before the revolution. Apartments, of course, were much bigger then. A few walls have been added here and there, leaving some of the tenants without a private bathroom or a kitchen. But the million real view stays. You can't take that away. My friend comes and goes. I'm sure you'll see him around. He's a busy bee.
A busy bee? What an odd choice of words.
I'm all ears, officer. The Coalition is only looking out for the price stability. Inflation is a killer, like a heart disease blocking the normal circulation of the economy. It must be controlled. The economy impacts the entire international community, which is why it requires international oversight. Well, I'm renovating it. It is an interesting project. The building used to be a 12-story skyscraper before the cannons took the top 4 stories off. This, of course, happened when the coalition forces landed here. You could say I'm undoing some of the material damage the international community caused when we arrived here. Yes, as I said before, I am a commissioner from Sur-la-Clé working for the Institute of Price Stability. This is one of the main projects of the Moral Intern.
Wait, there isn't actually an Institute of Price Stability, is there? Or maybe there is. God, it's impossible to understand whether someone from the Moral Intern is joking or not.
La communauté internationale is what Revacholians colloquially call the coalition. In other words, the nations that stopped the disaster of the revolution. It is the most important thing. It's the central goal of any sound monetary policy. Maintaining the price stability is essential to maintaining high levels of economic activity, which is essential for maintaining high levels of employment, which is essential for
Basically, it makes sure the price of bread doesn't change.
Précisément. Too much inflation, bread becomes too expensive. Too much deflation, it becomes too cheap for bakers to produce. That's why the Institute of Price Stability works to keep inflation just below 2%. But not too far below, no. Too below is also bad. Below, but close to 2%. The Coalition believes in the importance of informing the public about the benefits of the price stability. Transparency is one of our principles. Would you like an informational pamphlet? A sound monetary policy is essential for addressing uncertainty. Stability is the raison d'être of the Moral Intern. It's the reason why I identify as a moralist. But oh, I don't have my leaflets on me today. That's too bad. You can always call our information line. Making information available is part of the Moral Intern's commitment to transparency. It's the international organization for moralists, hence Moralist International. The Institute of Price Stability is just one of its many mind babies, as is the Coalition.
There are more nefarious powers to work for than the Moral Intern.
But of course. Well, do you value freedom? Do you believe in a normal, stable world governed by democratic values? The Occident is part of the normal world. Or on Martinez? No. Martinez is something else. Revachol is generally difficult. It's led by an interim government, which means it hasn't yet achieved full democracy. But they are working towards it. You're all doing very well here, relatively speaking. Is this option D usually the most reasonable answer? Sounds like you're a moralist indeed, my friend. Welcome. Moralism is all about compromise and achieving the achievable. It's pragmatic, realistic, and level-headed, an ideology for doers. Are you a doer, my friend? Now, enough of this delightful political interlude. Was there anything else you wanted to ask? What's there to say? Sur-la-Clé is a modern, urbanized country that measures very high on the Human Development and Freedom Index. Mostly, though, it's known as the executive heart of EPIS. Moreover, it is a great sponsor of less emerged countries. Revachol is only one of its many darlings whose progress it supports and cherishes.
Darlings? That can't be an official designation.
Because a great percentage of Revachol's culture hails from Sur-la-Clé. Its language, its people, its cuisine even. Or at least in the downtown La Delta area. Oranje is an exemplary nation who, as a core member of EPIS, contributes 28% of our annual budget. Next to Sur-la-Clé, Oranje is probably the most prominent member of the international community. As founding members, they are both very EPIS. Oranje carries a lot of political weight, while Sur-la-Clé takes care of the business side of things. Sur-la-Clé hosts the headquarters of the major EPIS institutions. Oranje's economy is one of the most advanced in the world. It has successfully transitioned from heavy industry to advanced services and generally acts as an engine for sustainable change in the international community.
But that didn't tell you anything about Oranje.
About what? Oh, it's very urban and very well organized. Their streets are clean, their horse cars run on time, the people are polite and efficient. Like I said, they are an example for less emerged nations to follow. Whatever you wish. Of a moment. Do you have everything you need from me? I'm afraid we won't have the chance to speak again once you leave. It's against diplomatic best practices for an official in my position to be discussing murders with local militiamen. And
That's not the real reason he's so apprehensive. Men in his position shouldn't be seen loitering around in underprivileged young men's apartments in the middle of the night.
Sure, go ahead. It's a beautiful space. Was there anything else? Of course.
Master Investigator, you just can't keep yourself away from locked and hidden places, can you? Attaboy, the world's secrets were made for you.
Give me a moment. Ask away.
She mumbles.
I'm not. It's
And all she hasn't What happened here? It will still be accessible through the apartment next to it. That one didn't have a door. Sadly, nothing of great value remains here. Indeed.
Give me a moment. Ask away, policeman. Some lunatic lost his mind. All kinds of morons pass through these halls.
She mumbles.
Hello again, officers.
That smell coming from her paint bucket. Red-dyed heavy fuel oil is only used in government vehicles, or at least that's the idea.
What did you think I was using? Aquarels? Sucked it out of a cop's fuel tank myself. Back in Jamrock. You ain't seen nothing yet, Piggy Boo.
You're back. Good. What can I help you with?
By love, you did.
She is memorizing your badge number.
Pleased to meet you, Lieutenant W. Frater Dubois. I am glad to see a man of high qualification. The situation is precarious. What can I help you with, Lieutenant Frater?
How about you share your information on the lynching, now that you've seen his badge?
The goalposts have moved, Lieutenant. In the absence of the badge, I have informed my employer there will be a probe. I cannot rescind that promise. To my knowledge, the drivers are still at the roundabout. I will tell you everything I know when you've finished with them. My plan is to share information. The only way to do that now is by telling my employers you've kept your end, which I hope you will, because let me tell you, we are in dire waters.
Meaning, the information she has will raise the stakes in this game. How bad can the info she has be?
The sooner the probe is finished, the sooner I can share crucial information with you. Yes, my eyes on the harbor have sent word to that effect. What have you discovered? It doesn't really matter, and I do apologize for the surveillance. Wild Pines can't afford to be blind at a time like this. In any case, it's a relief to know someone has looked into it. If I may ask, will there be an official investigation? I assume you discovered there is an operation.
If there is an investigation, it will be part of an ongoing operation, subject to confidentiality.
Of course, detectives. In any case, you've held up your end of our ring. I wouldn't normally break protocol like this, but the situation demands it. If you don't solve this murder, I'm afraid we may have a bloodbath on our hands.
The words bloodbath sound cold in her mouth. They taste of iron and...
Yes. I'm afraid this strike may descend into a small-scale civil war, with possible consequences for all of Rivershoal West.
Since you are sharing, ma'am, this is also the RCM's worst-case scenario.
Then we're on the same page, as grim as it may be. I have an indirect role to play, I'm sad to say. My employer experienced a momentary lapse of faith in me. In that moment, they elected to deploy a private military contractor as an insurance measure. They called it my security detail. They were dispatched after I relayed the Union's initial offer.
Every worker...
A member of the board. I tried to convince my employer it was simply an opening gambit, like you suggested, or a joke even. They did not appreciate the humor. Absolutely not. These mercenaries are muscle, pure and simple. They are meant to intimidate the Union into surrendering.
Who are they, exactly?
Crenel, an Oronese military company. As far as I know, 3 arrived in Martinez. They report to me sporadically, but they do not answer to me. To be frank, our relationship is deteriorating. They wear ceramic armor, have semi-automatic weapons, and years of combat experience. They also have trauma and stressor disorder, and no idea how to conduct themselves in an urban civilian environment.
So, what happened?
The story is, one of them, the Colonel, I don't know his real name, sexually assaulted a local woman while he was drunk and separated from his unit. This allowed some of the more militant Union members to subdue him. He was taken out behind the whirling in rags and lynched last Sunday night. Nothing. Mr. Clare refuses to let me into the harbor. I have not been able to discuss this matter with anyone there. The remaining 2 Crenel contractors carry out their orders, for now. It's a smokescreen. In secret, they are conducting an independent military tribunal into the lynching. Once this investigation is concluded, executions will follow.
What is the nature of this so-called investigation?
Whether to execute one, some, or all of the Union militants.
It will be all of them. The decision is already made. Investigation upon
It was the Union who strung him from that tree. My hope is that you provide a single concrete suspect before Crenel indiscriminately pick theirs. Simply put, if you don't pin this on someone good, and do it fast, they will identify and execute everyone present at the lynching. This in turn will force the Union to respond.
The Debardeurs have over 2,000 men. It will be 1,000 to 1.
Have you ever seen a hornet invade a beehive, Lieutenant? It's not pretty.
The Seraï's giant hornet, the world's 2nd largest insect, can kill 40 honeybees a minute, while a group of 30 can decimate an entire hive of 20,000 bees in less than 4 hours.
These men work in tandem using semi- and fully automatic firearms. Their armor is virtually impenetrable to muzzle-loaded weapons, even yours. Most Union workers don't have guns at all. As I said, a bloodbath.
Maybe a good bloodletting is just what Martinez needs.
Clean. Yes. Nothing will grow here for 20 years. Crenel will send in gunships and the coalition government will follow suit.
It appears you found it, yes. And I'm not happy for you.
Too many things have already gone wrong. Lieutenant Double Yefreta Dubois. All we can do is keep that which is not from following suit. One single concrete suspect delivered into civil court, and I may be able to defuse this situation. Not much. Their public resume is relatively good, as far as private military contractors go. I believe they were once called Downwell. They boast a long list of clients. Saint-Baptiste, Welchman Lorenz, Eintracht. A warning sign, however. The operations concerned all take place in 3rd or 4th world countries. Guarding facilities, escort missions and such.
Meaning they're used to operating in war zones.
Yes. All the good conflict corridors, Supramundi, Yesut, the Seminese Islands, countries that don't have a good record reporting atrocious military conduct on their soil. I wouldn't go as far as to use that term, detective.
It's the expression she objects to?
Yes.
She picked a strange hill to die on. Strike. She's silent.
What is the purpose of this, detective?
Paramilitary death squad is a bit rich. But yes, were it up to me, I would have at least vetted them more thoroughly. Sadly, no. Before this happened, I had little interest in them. Now that I do, I don't have the resources. If you still have access to the ICP's database, you could run a better background check than I ever could. It may take some time, though.
Do you know a lot about the inner working?
In my line of work, it pays to do your research. I was prepared to deal with the RCN. I did not think I'd be dealing with a group like Crenel. I have, and they will. However, these orders take time to reach what is basically a rogue unit out in the field here. Until they do, it's all on us.
She's being truthful. She is pressing them as hard as she can.
Or he didn't. This is information passed on to me from some teenagers loitering around the canal. I cannot testify by it. The remaining contractors, their tribunal. It's that the man was killed because he assaulted a local woman. I've asked around a bit. This seems to be the accepted story around Martinez.
The lieutenant consults his notebook, his eyebrows knitted in concentration.
Odd. We haven't heard any reports about an assault in connection with the lynching. Where?
Last Sunday night, at the Whirling in Rags, the hostel by the gates. Supposedly, the colonel was drunk, maybe on narcotics too. Either way, he's alleged to have sexually assaulted a woman. Sometime later, a group of dock workers got their hands on him. That's a good question, officer. I don't have the slightest idea. As I said, it's a rumor about a rumor. In any case, it's what the colonel's remaining colleagues believe. If you mean did I see him alive, yes. But I did not know him. Lely, his service name, a nom de guerre, most likely. One is a man, Corty, they call him, a nickname as well. The other a woman, Phyllis DePaul. Corty is the gunner, I believe. DePaul is a radio operator.
What would you say was his eye color, the deceased's?
She closes her eyes.
I can't remember.
The lieutenant was testing her, asking a small detail first.
That's all right, ma'am. Anything else?
He was 40. Or 50. It's hard to say which. He had a combat injury on his lower jaw. It made it difficult to estimate his age.
Indeed. This matches the dental reconstruct.
He was, Occidental, I think. Light brown hair, a mixed accent, Oronese, or Messinian, maybe. His injury gave him an accent all his own. In a way, it was humanizing. He had to learn to speak through it, through the injury. That's all I know.
Must be hard to force your face to move in a new fashion. If you continue like this, you'll have an aneurysm. Then you'll have to...
They've gone to ground, as it were. I don't recommend seeking them out. They don't have this.
You should show those meat.
Did you miss the part about ceramic?
That is a bad idea.
One is obviously the scab leader at the harbor gates. The one chanting the idiotic slogan. The other has a vantage point in a building south of the roundabout. They were keeping tabs on you while you were canvassing the lorry drivers.
That may be so. I still hope you heed my advice.
For all your talk of averting this catastrophe, the situation at the gate is a border keg.
Of course it bothers me, Lieutenant. But my hands are tied. How would my employer react if it appeared I were intervening on behalf of the Union?
Your concern may be appearances. Ours is...
That would afford a good vantage point.
Where is your radio for contacting them?
Heavens no. I'm not an undercover agent. There's a shortwave at the ship's wheel. I hope I can answer it better until the executions start.
They don't report the
Not on this matter. It's a matter of days. I am sorry to have been the bearer of bad news. If there... Of course. Excuse my hesitation before.
For about half...
It was taken with a Trigat not long ago. This is the man's upper body. There were no more...
Her mouth is relaxed. The accordion lines near her mouth vanish. The pearls of her eyes move slowly.
Sorry. I was trying to see if I can read the web of... I can't. Close. Port cities. This is an Oronese map of the waterways. A sailor's tattoo worn by wayfarers of the Dolorian century. Over 300 years ago. The sailors would mark their bodies to map. The sailor's soul would use it to fly back home if they should die abroad. This is a sort of contraption to be reeled back in by. The silver cord, they would call it. Quite a few. Vredefort, the Oronese capital, traditionally stands on the right shoulder. He started somewhere near here, I think.
What next?
Then he made his way to the Pretto Grande, through what I think must be the Stutz Canal, an artificial channel through the Occident. From the Pretto, he sailed to the Insulindic Ocean, first the Semnes Islands, then this, Revachol. Those are the two constants, Vredefort on the shoulder, and Revachol in the heart. They started the tradition of these maps right after the discovery of Insulinde, at the dawn of the Interinsulary Age.
The old world passing by, and the new world already here.
You said you can't read it.
I can't. This man was no sailor.
Vredefort?
That makes sense to me. We have no more use for a map of the waterways, just like we don't need sailors the way we used to. This is what the custom would morph into on the Occident.
For all the boys looking for adventure.
His platoon members?
Surely there are. Challenge accepted.
Do what you have to do, Detective Dubois.
We will be careful.
Is there anything else I can help you with? You have?
Finally. Time to choose sides.
Of course, Detective. Excuse me for implying otherwise.
The RCM does not pick sides.
Of course. And I don't expect... How could I stop you?
Intellectually speaking, it would be quite interesting. Tell her she'll like you for it.
A referral, you mean?
My liege, this woman has half convinced herself.
Such referrals may sometimes get you information from a man like Evrart.
Detective, I advise you to be very selective with what information you choose to share. This may have consequences beyond our line of sight.
Misinformation. This is all because we haven't shared information on the lynching yet. See? Hurry up on that probe.
She must really want you to look into the drugs. Otherwise, she'd tell you.
I wouldn't have taken Evrart for a saber rattler. Was he surrounded?
No. It was more like he wanted things to get worse. In secret, of course.
Yes.
Of course, brinkmanship takes showmanship. We don't be. He was not performing. He was already picturing.
There's always that risk, man. He means it.
I'll think it over,
Have I underestimated the Union's ferocity? She has to ask us.
How benevolent.
While we appreciate your assistance, man.
That is only fair. Well, I hope it yields something. Yes. That's... What you've said is quite enough. You've given me a lot to Of course, Detective. Until then,